to one of them, and that's the piece of paper. Because paper, we know it can bend. It's not solid like a board, but a pencil might be fine for an arrow. Our two opening questions here, though, to think about. And again, when you do these warm-ups, there's not always an exact answer. We'll talk about them sometimes in class. We'll kind of talk about them in the videos that you watch, but there's not always an exact correct answer. So number one, is a pencil, those are the two questions we just answered. Is a pencil a good model for the arrow, or is the paper a good model for the arrow? And we just kind of talked about that. So, and do you think it's possible with a straight arrow and a solid board? Depends how you look at it. Depends if the board is slanted. I don't know if a solid board can be at an angle like that to make the arrow fit. It just looks kind of, to me, it looks like an illusion. Maybe to you, you like to look more into it. But the point is, these are things that we're going to be talking about today. There's little parts to this that are like lines, like planes, and like points. All right, so let's get into that. And the first thing, here is the goal. We're not going to correct the homework from last time. We'll do that in class. But to demonstrate understanding of basic terms of geometry. That's what we're going to do right now. The first one that I wanted to introduce, even though we're not talking about them in this video, is postulate. It's also known as an axiom. Just look at it, get a feel for it, because we're going to use lots and lots of postulates in geometry, and you'll see what they are in our next lesson. So a postulate or an axiom is an accepted term of fact used in geometry to prove things. So it's just accepted as fact. We don't prove that it's fact. It doesn't have to be proven that it's fact. It's just accepted that it is true. If you want to look more into postulates, I suggest you do so. Look it up. All right, but we have a few terms that I'd like to talk about right away. And the first three are those points, lines, and planes that it mentioned in the goal, or the heading for this chapter. Now, there's two different types of terms in geometry in particular. There's defined terms and undefined terms. These three terms, point, line, and plane, are called undefined terms. So in your notes, if you want to highlight that, these are called undefined terms. And the reason they're called undefined terms is because there's some terms in math that they're just basic ideas that are used to build other definitions. They're not, you can't definitely define them as one exact thing. There's ways to represent them, there's ways to describe them, there's ways to use them to describe other things, but they're called undefined terms because we don't have an exact definition for them. But we can put a couple different things in there about them. So you might see in your book. Otherwise, please write these down in your notes when you see them, and write them down and hear them. It's that much better, that much easier to remember. So for a point, I'm going to type this in actually. A point, the thing that it says, the only thing that we really know about a point is, because we don't know how big a point is or how small it, we can't describe that. A point is, what a point does, it indicates, and I'll make this a little bit smaller, a location. And it has no size. So that's why it's hard to describe. It looks like a point has size. Like when you look at a point, it looks like it has size, but that's just so that we can see it, because we're not perfect. But a point really, and I will change the color of this. There it is. I'll change this to green. It shows location, but it has no size. That's important. A picture of a point. Well, it's pretty easy. Just make a point on your thing. But an important thing to know about a point is that it always needs to be labeled. So this needs to be labeled with a capital letter. All right, how to name it? Naming it, always labeled with a capital letter. So this right there would be called point A. All right? So as long as it's labeled with a capital letter, it's pretty simple. That's a point. Now, from a point, we can also kind of describe what a line is. So I'll type in what we know about a line. This is going to be a little bit longer, but a line is represented by a straight path, so it's going to be straight, that extends two opposite directions without end. That's important. It's without end and with no thickness. Just like a point, even though it looks like it has size, a line looks like it has size, it has no thickness. All right. And something to note here, may contain infinite points. So you learn about lines, graphing lines in particular in algebra, and you know that if lines do continue forever. We're not talking about a line segment, we're talking about a line. They continue forever. And these lines, so they can contain infinite points. All right, picture of a line. Important part about a picture of a line is it has to be labeled with at least 2 points. So we'll say we have A and we have B right there. The line that contains AB should be straight. Technically, it has no thickness. But it looks like that. It's a picture of a line. You can call it, there's a couple different ways of naming a line. You can name it with the two points. At least 2 points. If you can name this line AB. So we'll do now. It's important to label this. There's one thing that I did not put: a line on top with the arrows. Line segment, we're not going to have arrows. So if you have the line on top with the arrows, that's line AB. Another way that's commonly used to label lines is with a cursive letter. So we can do cursive L. Also lowercase. Doesn't necessarily have to be cursive, but typically it is. So lowercase, and you might not remember cursive. So we'll say this is line L. Okay? That's labeling a line. Now the last undefined term that we're talking about here is a plane. And a plane is represented, well, I'll type this out. A plane is represented by a flat surface. Kind of like a line, only it's another dimension. It's a flat surface that extends without end, again, and with no thickness. Plane, technically a plane contains infinite points and infinite lines. Okay? They go in all 4 directions. So it's hard to show a plane. I'll tell you right now, it's hard to represent a plane. I just think of a piece of paper and picturing it extending forever. Technically without thickness. So a picture, it's hard to draw a picture, so we're just going to draw kind of like a piece of paper here. We'll go like this. And just assume that it goes in all directions forever. That is a plane. Now, a plane needs to be labeled by 3 points, at least 3 points. So there's 2 ways of labeling a plane. One, you could have 3 lines that are not on the or 3 points that are not on the same line. So we'll say the first way to name it is 3 points not on the same line, because then it's just a line, it's not a plane. Has to be 3 points not on the same line. So you can call this plane ABC. The other common way is just with a capital. Again, this is kind of like a point, but you can also label a plane with a capital letter. So if you want to label it out here, we'll say this is plane P. All right, so that is a plane. Now these are the three undefined terms that are used a lot actually in geometry, so get used to them. Get used to using them, get used to seeing them. Those are pictures. All right, two other terms that are similar to a line actually, and you've probably heard of these, and these are defined. These are defined terms. Let's say right here. These defined terms are pretty simple. A segment, I'll use black for this. Segment is a part of a line that consists of two endpoints and all the points between them. A part of a line with two endpoints. And from the definition of a line, it has to have all the points in between. There could be infinite points in between, too. A picture of a um, segment, very simply, could be two endpoints and all the points in between. So it's a part of a line with two, so we'll say this is AB. And this would be segment AB. So you can name it by the two endpoints, segment AB. Now the only thing that's different about this is it's just a solid line, no arrows. All right. Array, you might recall learning about array. Array is just like a line, only with one endpoint. So it's a part of a line here. We'll use green. A part of a line. That consists of one endpoint and all the points opposite of that, or all the points on the line going the opposite, or going to the direction that the endpoint is not. Part of a line. One endpoint and all the points opposite. I think it's best to draw a picture for that. We're going to have point A here, point B here. Still has to have 2 points, but one of them is actually an endpoint. The other one, it goes through that point. So our naming of that would be using the two letters again. It's AB, only this time you're going to probably be able to guess it with a ray on top. It's got to have the arrow on one side. So that would be ray AB. All right, so those are a couple defined terms. Now, we're not quite done. I want to share two other terms with you, I think, here. We're going to skip opposite rays. Opposite rays is one term that I have, but we're going to share two other terms with you real quick, because opposite rays are really just a line. They go in opposite directions. Collinear and coplanar. Think of the root word co, like cooperative. You can probably think of some other terms that start with co. Some people think of just a co-op as in business. You'll learn more about co-ops with as you go on in life and school. But the root word co means with or together. So collinear means points that lie in the same line. So 2 points that lie, could be multiple points that lay on the same line. So if we look at an example here, we'll say points A and C are collinear. Let's just give an example. And here's our, well, I'll draw a picture down here. Let's just actually draw a plane. And I'll try to draw a line. Well, so it actually goes through there. This is the point that it goes through the thing. We have A, point B, point C. Point A and C are collinear on that line. They're on the same line. So coplanar then could mean that we have points that are on the same plane. All right, points that are on the same plane. I'm going to add a couple points here. D, E, F. So our example could be that points F and E are coplanar. They're on the same plane. They're together on that plane. All right. And that is coplanar. So we're going to do more examples with that. So this could be points or lines. I want to add that to there. So points or lines that are on the same plane. Okay, so that's basically what we wanted to accomplish today. Getting to know those few terms. We had collinear and coplanar were our last two. Same plane, same line. And then the other main terms, we had the undefined terms point, line, and plane, where point, looking at the picture and the label are really important there. Remember, they have no thickness, no size to them. And then segment and ray are kind of defined terms that come from a line. Segment is just a part of a line with two endpoints, and a ray is a part of a line that has just one endpoint and goes to another point to label it. All right, those are our terms for today. Make sure you know those, make sure you understand those, and we're going to do a short activity with those next time. All right, thanks for watching.